Hi guys. So for this week you'll see that we use as part of our war the same close gates exercise in all three of this week's training sessions. Now this was because this week was held during school holidays. We had a reduced number of players and we had the first two sessions use close gates as a bit of a league. So everyone played everyone in a couple of games. They had 10 games total, and then in the third session we had a bit of a playoff. So we had first versus last, second versus 11th, and so on, and they played a bit of a knockout competition. But this one again, it's a 1 yard triangle, 2 touches maximum. You cannot play the ball back through the side of the triangle that you received it from. This one, you have got two players working together. The blue player here has got to move side to side, a bit like a metronome, receiving just 1 touch passes either side, and players will do 5 sets of this. In the first set, they play 10 first time passes before the server plays a ball 10 to 15 yards away. The blue player must sprint after it, quick turn, and then drive the ball back through to the server. Next time they do it, it's 8 passes before the run, then 6, then 4, and finally 2. After each set, players do change, so one player will not do 5 in a row, it's 1 for 1. Looking at this exercise, we had 2 big goals available to us and 2 7-a-side goals available to us, so I could split the group rather than just having 2 players working at a time. We did have 8 working at a time, and that was swapped over quite quickly to get the full allotment of players involved. Now, when we're passing into the middle, the server is just playing 1-2s, and they're maybe 3 or 4 yards away from the striker. When the ball goes into the striker and the server drops back about 5 yards, the striker then either has to go into a channel and the ball will be played through the middle for them to go into, or as is the case here, they will stay in the middle, the ball is played into the channel, and then they've got to react and go. The striker has a maximum of 2 touches to score. We did also have our 2 goalkeepers into the goals, and I set up cones on either side of the goal for the 7-a-side goals, asking players to be accurate with their shots for the goals that didn't have keepers in them. Finished off with head tennis. We made this a little bit of a competition because we used it again later in the week. So it was a case of keeping points and seeing if you can make your way up the league table. For the second session, we again started off with close gates, and I explained why for the last one. We then moved into run rabbit run. Now, the players are very close together, 1 to 2 yards apart, playing 1-2s back and forth. Now, if we've got the red player who's starting first, they've got 2 options. They can take the ball past the blue player and get to the end line, that would be 2 points, or they can turn and go to the line behind them for 1 point. Players get to start in alternating start. So we're keeping points, and first player to get to 10 points wins. Now, if the red player starts and goes one way or another, and the blue player beats them to that line, they get that point. So same exercise as before, but a little bit of a progression. This time we can have the server change how we're going to have that player get the ball. So it might be just flicking the ball up, it might be playing straight into the player. So if the player does stay in the centre here, the ball might go straight into them, they've got to turn, react and play. Or we might flick it up, we might throw it up and challenge the striker to volley the ball into the goal. The progression that you see here with the cones, when that ball is played through, the server will call out red, yellow or blue, and the striker must try and score into that area of the goal. Another one that we can do for a progression is just challenging the striker to finish first time. Previous time we did this, we gave the player a maximum of 2 touch. Now we can restrict it to 1 touch. For this one, we've got a little triangle of players. Now, the blue players were playing backwards and forwards. When the ball was played into the red, that was their signal to go to the box. So when the red player put it back into a blue, they would take off. The blue player could then pick out any one of the 3 boxes, A, B or C, and they would make the runs shown. The winger then had to put the ball in for the strikers to finish. The progression to this was adding in a defender. So no matter which box the ball went into, we would still have one of the players making a run into the colour-coded box to match where I would want the cross to go to. However, if the defender picked up that player in the assigned area, they would have to look for that second player and pick them out. So get your head up, choose the right option. Can we execute the pass properly or the cross properly? Now, we haven't had a game in either of these two sessions, but we turned this into a competition between Reds and Blues, and we had the Reds working as passers, crossers and finishers, and the Blues as defenders. Each player managed to get 2 crosses into the box for their respective team, and we kept a running tally of who scored what. For the final session of the week, this was the Knockout Cup part of the Close Gates, and we ended up with our champion. We then had another shooting exercise, and it's very simple. Dribbling through, shoot, turn, come and get a volley, dribble through ball 3, shoot, come and get another volley. We had 2 goalkeepers working, and we had 2 players in here, so we actually had 4 servers. We had 2 players working and we had 2 servers, one on either side. So the player who initially started working down towards the bottom of the screen would go back up and get the serve from this side, and the player working away from us would come back down to the bottom and get it here. So 2 players working, 2 servers, and we utilised all 4 of the goals that we had available. Head tennis, and we played another little bit of a league competition, and the players who finished first and second then get to pick their teams from that. Hopefully you can take something from that. As I said, this was during the school holidays and we had a reduced number of players in the squad, so I wanted to get lots of players working on passing, crossing and shooting. Hopefully you can take something from that, adapt it to your team. Cheers!